In this lesson, you will learn how to move and rotate an object in 3ds Max. Let's begin with a box. Click the Create tab, click Geometry, then click Box. In the perspective view, click and hold down your left mouse button and drag outward to create a box. Release the mouse button, drag your mouse upward to complete the box, and click your left mouse button. Let's go ahead and turn on the smooth shaded feature so that we can see our box as a solid in each one of our views. So let's start by clicking the front view, pressing F3. Let's click in the top view, left click, press F3, and let's click in the left view, left mouse click, and press F3. Now, to move our box, let's click on the box in the perspective view, and then let's click on the Select and Move tool up here on the toolbar. Well, notice now that you see a set of arrows appear around the box. These arrows represent the X, Y, and Z axis as it relates to three-dimensional objects. So let's go into the perspective view. Click once, hold down the Alt key and press W on the keyboard, and now let's click back on our box, and you can see now that we have three sets of arrows here that represent the X, the Y, and the Z axis. Let's start by putting the mouse cursor on the X axis, hold down the left mouse button, and drag the mouse to the right and to the left. This allows us to move the box in its respective direction. But notice we can only move left and right on the X-axis. Now let's do the same for the Y-axis. Put your mouse cursor on the Y-axis and hold down the left mouse button, and now we can move the box back and forward on the Y-axis. Now let's try the Z-axis, which allows us to move the box up and down. Place the mouse cursor on the Z-axis, hold down the left mouse button, and now you can see that we can move the box up and down. This functionality applies to any object created in 3ds Max. Hold down the Alt key and press W. We're now back out to our 4 default views, and you will notice that in each view you see a different set of directional arrows. For example, in the front view you see the Z and the X-axis. This is because when you're looking at an object from the front, you can move it up and down, or you can move it left and right on the X-axis. But what we cannot do is move it on the Y-axis because it's not visible to us. However, in the top view, the Y and the X-axis are available, but not the Z-axis. And as you can see in the left view, the Z and the Y axis are available, but not the X axis. But in our perspective view, which is our true 3D view, we can see that all three axes are available. Now let's introduce another object into our scene. Let's add a sphere. Click on Sphere under the object type, and in our perspective view, let's hold down the left mouse button and drag to create a sphere. And now that we've created the sphere, let's click on the Select and Move tool, and as you can see, we can now move our sphere in the top view along the x-axis and the y-axis, and you can see how it affects the other views. Now let's move it in the left view. Let's move on the y-axis, and you can see how it affects the other views as well. And if we move on the x-axis, we can see the effect. And let's move to the front view. Click on the sphere, and we can move on the x-axis, even move through the square, the box, and we can move on the y-axis. Take some time to introduce different objects and move them around using the Select and Move tool. Thank you.